Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel with my coffee and I'm using my Myth and Legend coffee mug. So this is a coffee shop in Cumming, Georgia, and it is a really cool coffee shop. I swear I thought they had a couple other, they had some t-shirts when I went over there the other weekend, but I thought they had more colorful mugs, but this one's pretty cool and it's got a great weight to it. It does say on the inside, unforgettable coffee. So there you go. I think you can see, it's right there too. Uh, but anyway, drinking my coffee out of this mug, talking to you all about books, and I have a fantastic thunderstorm outside, so I am enjoying the rumbling that you guys are probably hearing with my little ambient noise that I tend to add to my audio. But I wanted to talk to you guys about a book that I literally just finished earlier today called How to Be a Saint, an extremely weird and mildly sacrilegious history of the Catholic Church's biggest names. Now, this is by Kate Sidley, I think it was Sidley. And it does release, let me just double check real quick, August 19th of 2025, and it's approximately 224 pages. So it's not a super long book. I want to say that my audiobook was approximately 4.5 hours, and I would be willing to bet that there's quite a few illustrations and other things within this book, which makes it a higher page count for a shorter audiobook. I was not mad about it. Now, preface for you guys, just in case. If you are religious in any way and you feel like this might not be right for you, if you feel like you are not a fan of humor and satire related to a religion, then please just take the time and maybe this episode isn't for you. But if you don't mind a bit of humor, because I think we can all maybe laugh. I'm not Catholic. I'm not actually religious really in any particular way. But if you take that to heart, please keep that in your heart, and maybe this book review is not for you. But if you do like humor and satire and a bit of wit, then perhaps you will want to continue. But let us dive into the summary really quick, and then we'll go from here. Part history lesson, part sacrilege, an entirely good time. Think you have what it takes to be a saint? Lucky for you, thousands of souls have paved the way to heaven, creating a clear formula for getting the job done while also leaving a rich, disturbing history behind them. And in just 5 easy-ish steps, you can learn how to secure your own halo. But even if the whole dying and becoming a saint thing doesn't appeal to you, the bizarrely bureaucratic process of canonization is still guaranteed to delight and entertain. How to Be a Saint is a compulsively readable and endlessly entertaining ride through Catholicism for anyone who enjoys their history with a side of comedy. From flying friars to severed heads, the book explores the wild lives and deaths of saints and pulls the curtain back on the oddest quirks of religious doctrine. Whether you're a lifelong Catholic or a weird history enthusiast, that would be me, How to Be a Saint is your ultimate guide to understanding the hilarious, fascinating, and shockingly true history of sainthood. So, it does seem as though if you listen to the audiobook and potentially if you pick up the physical book as well, you do quickly learn that the prologue, I believe it's the prologue, the prologue is written by Stephen Colbert, if you know of The Late Show. That I believe is being canceled soon. But it does seem as this particular person, Kate Sidley, is someone who is a writer on that show with Stephen Colbert. So she was able to get him, perhaps her boss, to write her a prologue for her book. And I thought it was really witty and funny. Again, I don't take these things to heart. I don't take them as insults. I don't see them as being mean or malicious to religion in any way. I find them quite humorous. And so I dove into this book. I was like, how do I become a saint? And honestly, the title alone is what sold me on it. I was like, definitely how to become a saint or what have you. How do I do it? What is my first step? And apparently, the first step is potentially being Catholic, but it could also be just you have to die. So one of the two. I kind of forget where she starts, but I do think that one of the most important kind of rubrics is that you have to be Catholic. And you don't have to, like, you can be male or female. I think you only have to be male to be a pope. But you can be a female saint. There's plenty of female saints. And so what Kate Sibley does is she goes through what is approximately 5-ish steps of how to become a saint. And so one of them is kind of like you have to start your own fan club. But because you need people who will pray to you once you've passed, because then you can perform miracles, because after you've passed, then somebody prays to you, and then if I guess their prayer is answered, that can be considered a miracle. Or maybe you're martyred. There's apparently red martyrs and white martyrs. The red martyrs are one who apparently die in fairly violent ways. Hang on just a second. Little Leo is calling for me. All right. We were talking about red and white martyrs. I think that's where we were. The red ones being the ones who died violently. The white ones who I guess don't. I guess that's the best way to put it, because she describes it in some funnier terms. But I will leave it there and let her read that part to you if you decide to pick up the audiobook or pick up the physical copy. So I loved this book in just so many ways, because I love when something hits my funny bone, but also still teaches me something. And honestly, I don't know anything about becoming a saint. I guess now I at least know the approximate steps. And so sadly, since I'm not Catholic, I'm not even on the right path to becoming a saint. But again, you need your fan club, so somebody's going to talk about you and pray to you or what have you and ask you for your aid. And then you need, what else do you need? You need either some miracles or to be martyred. You need, I think you need some money, because apparently it costs for a single person, it costs $500,000 approximately to become a saint, because of the legwork that it takes for them to have to do all these things. Somebody has to investigate your life, and then they almost write a doctorate dissertation on your life, and then they present that to the group in the Vatican, and then they present it to the Pope, and then at that point you're like a venerated person, I think, something like that. But see, and I don't know my terms as well as I potentially should, because again, it's 4.5 hours and my brain was just kind of on these happy little dopamines that just make me so just enjoy the giggles that I'm having as I was listening to it. I don't think at all it's meant to be mean-spirited. I think it's just, it seems as though this person is potentially a Catholic herself and finds humor in her own religion. If she's not Catholic, then it's probably not the greatest thing for her to publish a book about how to become a saint, but I think it's funny. And that's where someone else even says, it's I don't think a non-Catholic could write it. And that's the same thing I was thinking. I was I think a Catholic person potentially wrote it because they would know or be able to identify the humor without the malice. And she is a comedian. She writes jokes. That's kind of, I guess, her day job, is that she's a writer for a more or less comedy news channel or show. So, so from there, what else do we got? I like the balance of the learning and the humor. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, I wish somebody would just tell me, I didn't take notes, so I didn't write down those 5 easy steps to getting your halo. However, it just, the way she presents it is pretty funny. She also does talk about some of the saints being potentially only legendary in the fact that there are legends about them, but they probably weren't real. And there are some saints who, of course, were real, and we don't have any information about them as to what they actually did to become a saint. So she does also give you like options of, well, sadly, being the saint of bakers is taken, but if you want to be the person at that restaurant who, or the saint of the people who throw rolls at people at that one particular restaurant, then that one might still be available. And she gives you a couple options like that. And so I thought that was kind of funny. So you can pick your potentially pick a pretty niche sort of what you are the patron of. There is apparently now. Just trying to think if I can remember how to say it correctly. There is a list where I guess most saints are on, and I guess they've gone through this list and taken some people off because either they weren't real or they yeah, I think that's really it. Is like they probably weren't real and they just got removed from the list. So, but then there's some saints that are like so popular that they kind of still stay on the list. And so just one of the examples for that was like Saint Christopher, and I think he's supposed to be the patron saint of travelers. However, according to Kate, the author, she said that he is potentially just a legend, that he was maybe based on a real person, but that real person probably was not given that canonization. But St. Christopher came out of that kind of maybe that legend. And so that was kind of cool. And there was also a dog that was apparently sainted. And there was a story about how the parents went out and they left the dog to watch the baby. And when the parents got back, the baby was missing, but the dog had blood on its face. So the father, or like the dad, ran the dog through because he thought the dog ate the baby, only to find out that the baby was perfectly safe, kind of hidden in a corner, and there was a dead snake, and the dog was bloody from the snake. So then the dog was canonized as perhaps being a martyr for protection. And so, I mean, honestly, I personally feel like dogs should get to be saints. I mean, for all the little things that they do. Oh, I startled him. For all the little things that they do. But, you know, they're the goodest kids. They are the goodest. Anyway, so this one person says that they are pretty. So Angie, I think it's Angie Miale, Miale. She also reviews this book. And I wanted to kind of mention hers because she does say she's a pretty devout Catholic herself. But she also thinks God has a good sense of humor. So she doesn't see this. And that's why I kind of wanted to point out her review. Now, I'm not going to read her whole thing or anything, but I just wanted to, like, there are people who are Catholic who fairly devout in their religion who do get to see some humor in this, who are able to take that kind of ability to chuckle at themselves and some of the things that go into this sort of kind of process. But again, it's not very long. The audiobook does tell me that there's some bonus material if I want to go download it. Apparently, there is a checklist that I could get, you know, if I wanted to start my path for being a saint. There is also an unofficially official saint baseball card, because apparently if you want to start your fan club, you need to make sure people can, you know, ask for your guidance or assistance in various situations. So you kind of get your own sort of baseball card for people to carry around. So, you know, you can get one of those as well. And I think there's a couple other things that are also listed as bonus material. Now, again, those were not included in just my audiobook, but I am very curious to go find those little bits and pieces and see what's in there. this particular person says that let's just see, Marl, Marl, they said they listened to the audiobook and read the bonus material PDF that came with it. And, yeah, oh, she does. Oh, so Kate Sidley does read her own audiobook. I didn't even catch that. I kind of missed that whenever I was diving into the audiobook, was that the author is the reader of her own book. And I thought she did really well because in my personal opinion, just listening to it, I thought the narrator sounded like she knew all of the appropriate pauses and ways to inflect words that the author probably would have intended. So that makes a lot of sense as well. And so I'm just thinking. Now, this particular person also says it's not meant for people who are like strict in their Catholicism. Probably they won't be able to find the humor, because a lot of Catholics do truly revere the saints. So maybe taking light of it may not hit some people in the right place, which is why I kind of tried to give that preface earlier. However, it's kind of funny. It's funny. Like, the book starts off with kind of a letter, quote unquote, from God that's welcoming you to the process of trying to become a saint. And honestly, I find a little bit of humor in that. I think we all look, death is serious. It is one of those things that sadly we all will go through one day. And we will lose people in our lives in some very sad ways, but it's kind of a fact of life. And so I think the way this is presented, it's not about death and dying. It is simply about the humorous process of going through the bureaucracy of how to become a saint. Apparently in the past, it had to be like, you had to wait like 50 years, or you had to wait even more time than that. And now it's like 5.5 years after you've passed before you can really start the process of becoming a saint. And there's a lot of different things like that. What else? There are whole towns that have been canonized as potentially saints. There was, like, I think, what did they say, in like 2013 or I think it was 2013, they said it was the largest canonization process, where it was like 800 people got canonized at the same time. And she was kind of joking about how it would be pretty much be like the priest reading a phone book just at the front of like the church during this canonization process, just going through all the like 800 names. So I thought it was pretty funny. This person also makes note that Sydney has been nominated for a comedy Emmy several times, and she, again, the late show with Stephen Colbert for years. So it's pretty obvious through her humor that she really kind of does like tongue in cheek and a little bit of wit, but perhaps that little bit of just kind of like, it could rub people the wrong way, but it's really not intended to be malicious. But anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. I had such a fun time with this. There's no real spoilers in it unless you just get real sad that you can't become a saint. But hey, she gives you the guidance on like, these are the steps. This is what you got to do. So if you need a rubric for how to become a saint, then you should pick this up, or at least try to find her free PDF document that's got some sort of checklist on it, because maybe that can help you get on your path. Earn that halo. But I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here. And with all of that being said, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you have not liked and subscribed already, I certainly hope you will. And I am in the process of potentially going and looking at some properties to potentially buy my first place. I have been in an apartment for a while, and I'm kind of looking at the market and seeing if I see something in my area that I want to buy. So will everybody please cross their fingers for me, because I am going looking tomorrow with my realtor to see what I see. My realtor is super cool. She is what's called, she refers to herself, she bills herself as the nerdy realtor, and she actually gave me dice as part of her like little, I guess, swag. So love that. Love. I mean, I am a dice goblin. I do play D&D, so that's definitely a big sell for me. But cross your fingers for me, and I will see you all on the next page. I hope you have a great one. Bye.